back. The City County Council will take up a resolution today declaring racism as a public health crisis in Marion County. Joining me now is Council President Vop Osili. Thanks for joining us this morning virtually.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, we've seen healthcare workers in Indiana declaring systemic racism a public health crisis. This has also happened in the city of Columbus, Ohio. What would this change if this happens tonight here in Indy?
Well, first of all, we're looking at it from the council side, the council, the city, and its departments. So we're asking for a few things. One, that we're committing to frank and open dialogue about the impacts of race and racism on the decisions that we make. And how do we integrate these discussions into our daily work together? And then how do we address issues of race and racial disparities in a full and forthright manner? We're calling on all city and county departments to continue with amazing urgency a review of policies and procedures to eradicate implicit and explicit bias that we put in place that may have been put in place that have built towards this sort of racial inequity. And then finally, asking all of our departments to collect data disaggregated by race on staffing and procurement and contracting and other uses of government funding, and then making this information publicly available via our websites. And basically, it's all to help us incorporate racial equity, into government decisions, and to be able to analyze, government action through that lens.
You did list a few key points of actual actions that would come from this, but would you say overall this is more of a symbolic statement using the words public health crisis for racism, or do you want this to turn into a full concrete to-do list, checklist item?
So no, I don't really believe in doing things that are symbolic. The idea is that this builds on something that the council initiated earlier on this year in February, basically talking about racism, addressing inequities and wanting to put it on the front burner. In many ways, this is an addition to that because the discussion is so important. That is why we want to ensure that not only are we moving forward with the initiatives that we created back in February, but we want to make sure that now that information is readily available to the general public. First, it had been more of an internal kind of thing. How do we address it? But we realize that there's a need for transparency and engagement with our community. And so that is part of this initiative right now.
Now, we covered Mayor Hogsett's changes to the IMPD use of force policy extensively. Are you looking to expand upon that as something that would come as a result of this?
We'll look at all of these items, in their turn. But for right now, we just want to explain that city, county, departments, all of us are going to be engaged in very purposeful discussions on these things and then measurable outcomes.
Now, one of our major headlines today is the Minneapolis City Council looking to disband its police department. And I've got to ask, is the City County Council looking into something similar, disbanding or disfunding IMPD to reorganize it?
Well, it's not a discussion that we've had. It is, however, something that we've received probably countless emails on from constituents, not just here locally, but from surrounding counties, et cetera. But we've not had any discussion on that whatsoever, neither at the council level or with the administration.
Is that something you would consider starting to discuss as early as this week or next?
It is to dismantle our law enforcement is not something to be taken lightly. And I'm open to discussion for anyone who wants to bring it up. But it's not going to be my first priority, and I don't imagine it's going to be the first priority of a number of my fellow councilors. There are a number of issues that we could tackle right away and that we need to.
We appreciate you sharing a lot of information with us on this as we wrap our minds around the big changes happening in our city county council. Vop Osili, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much.